Good morning, everyone. My name is William Baird, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about wilderness survival tips. Here in the area, we live in the foothills of the Adirondacks. That great Adirondack Mountains support some of the best hiking, camping, and fishing in all of the United States. Unfortunately, some people venture out into the wilderness and they do so unprepared, and they find themselves in a survival situation that they just don't know how to handle. So that's why I'm here today, just to teach you some basic skills that may help to save your life. The number one thing if you find yourself in this kind of situation is to remain calm. Remember that attitude is everything about survival. You want to stay positive. One thing to remember is the STOP acronym. STOP stands for sit, think, observe, and plan. You want to sit down, you want to start thinking rationally, realize everything's going to be okay. And don't venture too far away, because search parties start at the last known location of the hiker, or camper or whatever. So you want to stay where you are. You also want to think. You want to think about what you have at your disposal. What can I use in this situation that's going to help me? You want to observe. You want to observe the area that you chose for your location. You want to make sure that there's water and shelter, food. Are you in an open space so that people can see you for signaling, things like that. And the next thing you want to do is to create a plan. But the main thing to do is to remember to stay positive, and you will survive. Do any of you recognize this gentleman?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Les Stroud. He's from the TV series Survivor Man. He has spent most of his life studying martial arts and practicing martial arts, and now he is going into survival and teaching people about survival situations. He stresses the 5 W's of survival, which are weather, wood, water, widowmakers, and wigglers. Let's talk about weather. Weather is one of the key things. You want to prepare for the weather, observe the weather. Remember that the number one cause of death in a survival situation is exposure to the elements. So you want to have you want to have a good shelter. Next thing you want to do is start gathering wood. You can use wood for the shelter. You can also use wood for fire, for warmth, for cooking, and the smoke from a fire also can be seen for miles. So it's a good signaling mechanism. Widowmakers. Some people don't know what widowmakers are. Widowmakers are any kind of dead tree, dead limb, anything that could fall on you. So you want to look up. Look around, make sure that there's no dead limbs, dead trees, or anything that can fall on you or your shelter. Basically, you just want to keep yourself safe. Water. Water is probably one of the most important things. A typical human can survive for about 3 weeks without food, but can only survive for about 3 days without water in certain conditions. So you want to have some water with you. If you don't have water with you, one thing you might want to do is gather some rainwater. You can gather rainwater with plastic or with a tarp, like I've showed you. And these are things that should be in your survival kit, which I'll show you later on in the presentation. If you don't have any rainwater, you may want to find a stream, fast-moving stream that has sand and pebbles in the bottom of the basin, because this acts as a natural filtration system, and it helps to reduce the bacteria and the contaminants in the water. Another way that you can get water is through water condensation methods. You can take some leafy plants, tie them up in a bag and hang them up in the afternoon, and for a few hours in the afternoon, the condensation will build up on the bag and drip down to the bottom of the bag, and you can actually drink that water. So water is very important. There's other methods, but that's just one. Last thing is wigglies. You want to try to avoid the ground. You want to stay off the ground. You want to try to avoid snakes, spiders, ticks. You also want to try not to lay down in any kind of poisonous plants, like poison oak or poison ivy, anything like that. And you also just want to kind of take a look around, find out where you're going, because if you think it's a good area to be in, chances are another predator might think it's a good area too. Nature provides all sorts of food, natural food out there. Provides all sorts of plants. There's wild Indian cucumber, there's dandelions, wild strawberries and blackberries. There's even cattail root. I'm sure, have any of you seen the cattails that come up on the side of a road or in a swamp or something, those fuzzy things? You can actually pull that out and boil the root and eat it. It's a very high source of protein, so that's really good. Another source is wildlife gives you, or nature gives you wildlife. Most of the bodies in the streams in New York they have brook trout and rainbow trout in them. They also have freshwater clams, which most people don't realize. And another thing we can resort to doing, which nobody wants to do, but it may save your life, is eating bugs. Okay, you can eat grasshoppers, you can eat grubs, you can eat crickets. It may sound gross, but it may save your life. The best survival tip is just to be prepared before you even go out. Tell someone where you're going. Always make sure that someone else knows where you're going so that they can find you if you do end up getting lost. Always hike in groups. Make sure it's better to hike in with more than one person. That way, if anything happens, you have somebody to help you. And stay on the trails. Try to avoid going off of the trails. That's kind of a dangerous thing. That's when most people find themselves in trouble. Carry a cell phone or a GPS because they practically work everywhere now, so carry one of those. Bring food and water. Watch the weather forecast and dress appropriately. You may want to watch a weather forecast a couple days after your return date, just in case something happens, you know what weather to expect. And you want to map your route and plan accordingly. Some essential items to bring is a compass. Compasses are great, but I would suggest someone to bring in that has instructions. But, have a compass that has instructions because some people don't know how to read a compass. You want to bring a cell phone or a GPS. Cell phones, you can use them anywhere. You want to bring water. I do have water here. You want to bring some water, okay? You want to bring some snacks. Snacks that are high in protein that can sustain you for a few days, because most survival situations last for about 72 hours. Search group usually finds somebody within 72 hours, and that's the difference between life and death is your positive attitude and the things that you bring. You want to bring some rope, okay? You want to bring two 39-gallon plastic bags. Okay, they can be used for shelter, to lay on the ground to gather rainwater, and most everything that you see can fit into this 1-gallon Ziploc bag. You want to bring a whistle, which I've included in the survival kit. There's a whistle. Whistles are great because they can get people's attention. They can also ward off predators because, like bears and things, don't like loud sounds. So it works great for that. Also, a first aid kit. You may want to bring a small one or a big one, depending on the size of group you have or however long you're gone for. The first aid kit's a mirror or any kind of shiny object, a watch, a ring, anything that will reflect the light that can signal somebody flying overhead, which is an important thing. A flashlight. You may want to bring a flashlight, one that cranks, okay, that you don't need batteries. This one you just crank and it comes on. It's great for signaling, good for anything that you need light for. Okay, you may want to bring a pocket knife or a multi-tool. I didn't bring one in, but there is a picture here. I did have one, but I was afraid I was going to get in trouble. So I didn't bring that in. You also want to have some waterproof matches. Waterproof matches, most people, it takes professionals. Anybody who can professionally start a fire might take them up to like 4 hours to start a fire. So how long do you think it's going to take us to start a fire? So you might want to bring some waterproof matches or other ways to start a fire. Well, I hope the information that I've given to you all will help you if you ever find yourself in this kind of situation. God forbid this ever happens to any of us, but maybe this information will help you to survive in the wilderness. I'd like to thank the website urbanab.com and authors Aaron Kinney and Elton Thigerson for all of the pictures and the important information that they had on survival. If any of you are interested, you can check these authors and this website. It was phenomenal. They had so much good information on survival because these are only the basic things. There's many more things to use, but hopefully this is just a basic thing that will help you all if you get in this kind of survival situation. So are there any questions or any information or survival tips that anyone would like to add to this presentation?